your entire household. After your insurance kicks in, most members owe nothing. See AdaCountyParamedics.org and click on Vital Ride.
Idaho Sports Talk, Prater in the ball game, T-minus however many less hours than 24 until week 0 in college football. The 2022 season is officially upon us. We do this every Friday at this time where we check in with our teammate, our partner over there at Bronco Nation News, 4-time Sports Writer of the Year award winner, Prater. This guy, name an award in journalism, he's won it. BJ Rains, our guest right now, my friend.
There's one you can name I've won and a lot you can't, but I appreciate the kind words there. But, happy to be on with you guys always. It's weird with 11 games tomorrow, 5 Mountain West games. So, yeah, it's a fun time, and I'm sure for Boise State fans, kind of a weird weekend. You get to watch the Mountain West teams in action, relax a little bit. You don't have to stress about your team, and we'll get going seriously on Monday.
So we're going to do a little game here, right? JP, are you going to be hosting this sucker?
I am.
Right.
I'm like the Wizard of Oz. On camera, you can't see me. You can only hear me.
Okay. We don't have the
I don't understand the Wizard of Oz reference.
I'm the guy behind the curtain, Prater.
Yeah,
You've never seen the Wizard of Oz?
Like when I was 8.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's the guy
Johnny
behind the
got
curtain.
it.
Yeah,
Johnny
I got it. Okay, JP, we got the music on. BJ, we're talking significant Boise State statistical categories. Who will lead the team this coming season? JP, fire away.
Not necessarily who will lead, because our first category is who will finish third in rushing yards for Boise State. BJ Rains.
Man, we're going a tough one right off the bat. I guess we're assuming it's Helani and Genty 1 and 2. I wanted to go Tyler Crow so bad, 5.1 yards a carry, but I kept looking at it. I'm going to go Elion Noah. I think they brought him in for a reason. The guy's got 500, plus rushing yards last year in Mountain West games. I think Noah by the end of the season ends up third in rushing.
Mike Prater.
I would agree with that, and I'm even going to take it a step further. I really tried to make a case that Noah could be the number 2 guy instead of Ashton Genty, but I think Ashton Genty, even though he's a true freshman, is going to get enough opportunities and enough touches. Noah just looks like he's the guy in practice right now. He looks like he belongs. I know Tyler Crow's got a really nice niche with this football team, but I think it's a niche role, and I can absolutely see Noah going out there and being the 3rd strongest runner on this football team.
I'll switch things up. I'll say Tyler Crow holds him off. Now, I'm not even saying Tyler Crow is going to be RB3. There might be a few blowouts. Hank and the fellas engineer and put in Tyler Crow in a fourth quarter situation where maybe him over Noah gets some of those carries. Maybe he pops a 70-yarder. I'll say T. Crow. This is what I want. Maybe not necessarily what I think, Prater. I like seeing T. Crow out there. That hair, the logo he has on the back of his car, for that alone, I got to mention this.
Topic number 2, BJ Rains. Who will lead Boise State in sacks?
We may need to add a punting one, by the way, because James Ferguson Reynolds' parents are both watching live from Australia to the stream here. They just commented in, so maybe we can throw a punting one in. But appreciate them for checking us out. I'm going to go George Tarlis. I think this is a pretty easy one for me. I just don't think you can count on a guy like Scott Matlock, 7 sacks on the interior of the defensive line again. That's just kind of an anomaly for me. I mean, I know he's a heck of a player, but you should have your edge guys getting more sacks than your guys on the inside. I think George Tarlis is the real deal. 19 sacks in his time at Weber State, had 5 last year. I think George Tarlis gets 7 or 8 sacks this year and has a big year for Boise State. I got him first.
I think there's 5 football players here that are going to get a significant number of sacks, and it's going to be Matlock, Banya, Tarlis, D. Washington, and even Tyree Jones might sneak in with that position move that he has. But I'm going with Scott Matlock because, Scott Matlock, as you just said, BJ, led the team in sacks last year with 7. Yeah, he's going to face a lot of double teams, but he's a better football player, a better physical body this year. And I think Tarlis and Demetri Washington on the edges are going to demand some double teams. So I think Matlock is going to get his opportunities. I see Matlock getting 7, 8, 9 again, but I also see, as I predicted yesterday on the show, that Tarlis and Dimitri Washington combined get 15. I see this defense getting a lot of sacks this year.
Well, that's going to be fun for Bronco Nation if they're flying around the quarterback like this. I'm going to go with Dimitri Washington. I hope George Tarlis isn't going to be upset with me on this, but it's going to be one of those 8.5 for Dimitri, 8 for George Tarlis, that type of thing. I'm going to stick with Dimitri. He's going to pop. I'm going to talk about him a lot more, maybe a little later in this show. Just a little hint right there. Dimitri Washington, I expect to lead this team in sacks like he should have last year if he was fully healthy, like he would have 2 years ago before he got hurt. Dimitri, big year coming in my opinion, JP.
Topic number 3, BJ Rains. Who will lead Boise State in receiving touchdowns?
Again, I think this is another really easy one. Steph Cobbs had 5 last year, and the other wide receivers back on the roster had 1, Davis Cutter. So I know Billy Bowens, Latrell Caples, Austin Bolt, there's a lot of hype around these guys, but they just haven't done it yet. So I can't take a guy to lead the team in touchdowns that didn't have a touchdown last season. So give me Steph Cobbs to lead the group. Had 5 last year. He's going to be that go-to receiver, and I think Steph Cobbs has a monster year. I got Steph Cobbs.
I'm a Billy Bowens guy. I can't back off now, and we're going to talk even more about that at 5 o'clock when we bust out our breakout player of the year. Gee, I guess you figure out who I'm going with, but I think Billy Bowens has a chance to be a more productive wide receiver than Steph Cobbs. I know that's a crazy thing to throw out there because you're right. He's never caught a touchdown. I think he's only caught, like 14 career passes or whatever it is. It's going to be by committee. The stats are going to be very, very close, and if Billy Bowens ends up leading this team in receiving, it's going to be just by a couple here, a couple there. But I see Billy Bowens having a big breakout year, and I see him going out and getting somewhere between 6 and 9 receiving catches this year.
I'm more interested to watch Billy Bowens play football this year than any other receiver or player in the history of Boise State football based on my partner. I cannot wait. He is
living and dying with Billy Bowens this year.
Yeah, man. He is winning or betting across the board on Billy Bowens this year. I love it. I'll make this easy so we can move along. I'll say Static Cobbs. JP?
Topic number 4, who will lead the team in interceptions? And we are talking about a defensive player, not quarterbacks here, BJ.
Well, I got a guy that has 0 career interceptions leading the team this year, and that's Markel Reed. I think Markel Reed is going to have a big year. He's back. He's healthy. He's ready to go coming off the injury. I think Caleb Biggers is probably your number 1 corner going into the year, so I don't know how much they're going to throw over to Caleb Biggers' side. So I think they attack a guy that's been injured and hasn't played a whole lot, Markel Reed on the other side, and with Jones moving down to nickel and not sure who's going to play the other safety spot, there's just some uncertainty there. I think they know all about Skinner and try to avoid him as well. I think 3 or 4 interceptions this year leads the way for Mr. Markel Reed.
Every single player that had an interception for Boise State last year is back. Every single player, and it was either 3, 2, or 1, so they kind of spread it out. Tyreek LaBeouf had 3. Oladipo Kaniho, the one that came back, Skinner, Jones, Kaniho. Well, I guess the other Kaniho is on here as well, so that's not quite the deal. I'm going to go Caleb Biggers. He's been the most impressive offseason change for me in the secondary. I like what he's doing there. Tyreek Jones is going to make plays moving forward, and I really, truly believe that Biggers is going to make plays moving backwards. He's a playmaker, and we're going to see him shine this year. Caleb Biggers is your interception leader.
This is my big long shot play because 2 things have to happen. First off, my answer here is Shea Oladipo will lead this team in interceptions. First off, though, he has to get the gig. He has to start over Rodney Robinson. I've handicapped that he will. And when I've seen Oladipo play in the past, last year he was playing as a true freshman before he got hurt, picking off passes. I thought he read the ball very well. He's going to play that field safety position. And I like the odds on this, guys. Shea Oladipo leads this team in interceptions this year with 3 or 4.
Topic number 5, not one you want to lead because it will come with some missed time, but BJ Rains, who leads this team in targeting penalties?
I think it's got to be J.L. Skinner. I know they're working to do it, but and limit that. But he's such a physical player. With the way the game is officiated now, you may not even be trying to do it, but he's going to have some monster hits this year, and I got to think he gets called for 1 or 2. I'm going J.L. Skinner.
BJ, we're fighting, and the season hasn't even started yet. J.L. Skinner gets 0 targeting calls. Caleb Biggers replaces him. He gets 2.
Wow. Oh. What would the over-under be on a half? We got to put something on that, a side bet, Prater, a half, over-under a half for targeting for Skinner this year.
I like it. I like it.
Here's where I'm going. I think Isaiah Banya leads this team in targeting this year. He's really tall. Like, he looks like a wide receiver with his height, and he's long and athletic. And I think he's going to get in situations where he's got to tackle running backs and hit backs who are like 5'7", 5'8". He's going to have to dip a little lower there. I'm throwing this out of my hat. I know, pulling it out of my you-know-what. Isaiah Banya has 2 targeting penalties. Bleh.
Topic number 6. Let's do a little over-under gambling. Jonah Dalmas field goals made. The line, 21.5 field goals made. BJ Rains.
Obviously, he led the nation last year in field goals, but I'm going under this number. And one of the reasons is I look at what Tyler Rossa did the year that he went 25 for 30. They said the same stuff, needed the offense to get going, more touchdowns, not as many field goals. And then he only got 13 attempts the next season and went 9 of 13. So I'm believing in this offense. I'm believing in Tim Plow. It's nothing against Jonah Dalmas. I think he's going to have the percentage-wise will be fine. I just don't think he gets nearly enough attempts to make 21.5 field goals. I'm going under.
Jonah Dalmas, 26 of 28 last year. Those are big, big numbers. 21.5 is the over-under now. 100% agree with you, BJ. Jonah Dalmas goes under.
I'll go over. Boise State's going to score more points. Jonah Dalmas is still going to have those field goal attempts, and Boise State won't be the greatest team in the league in the red zone. Again, Jonah Dalmas, I'll give him 22 makes on 26 attempts this year. I'll go over by a half.
Topic number 7, yes or no. Hank Bachmeier, 3,500 yards or more and 25 or more touchdowns. BJ Rains.
I'm going yes, and part of this is because I think they play 14 games. I think they get a bowl game. I think they're in the championship game, so that lowers the average he would need to do. He had almost 3,100 yards last year in 12 games while playing half a season on a bum knee, had 20 touchdowns last year. We're all talking about this Tim Plow offense in year 2. I think Hank Bachmeier approaches 4,000 passing yards this year and 30 touchdowns, so I'm going over easily on this one.
Yeah, I'll save I'll save my explanation because I 100% agree with you for the exact same reason. So I'm going to throw out a trivia question. How many Boise State quarterbacks are in the 3,500 club?
They're just the 3,500
They passed for 3,500 yards in a season.
Well, it's Kellen, it's Bart, it's
Brett Rippon,
Dinwiddie.
No Bart.
Did Brett Rippon get there?
Kellen Moore 3 times, Brett Rippon twice, Grant Hedrick once, and Ryan Dinwiddie holds the school record and is the only member of the 4,000-yard club at Boise State.
Good stat.
Touchdowns, by the way. How many of them have thrown? How many Boise State quarterbacks have thrown more than 35 touchdowns in a season?
25, you mean?
25.
25.
Or no, maybe it's, oh yeah, 25.
6.
I may have screwed that stat up, so I'm not going to go there. I may have screwed that stat up, but I'm going to go there.
I'm going to say Kellen's the only one over 35, Prater.
Kellen over 35 3 times, and there's one other quarterback that's done it over 35 touchdown passes.
Bart threw 35 the year he led the nation.
Bingo.
But it was 35 on the dot. That's
Bingo.
it. So Hank Bachmeier, but this isn't 35. This is 25. Which I think is, you know what? I'm not the biggest Hank guy, but I think he can have this line. I think he can throw for 3,500 yards, and I think he can throw for 25 teeters. Like, I mean, especially BJ, if you're right, if he gets the 14-game season, that's just a little more than a touchdown a game. And he gets to 25, 26 touchdown passes. Maybe the yardage isn't there only because the running game is, and it's one of those situations. Kellen could have thrown for so many more yards, but they ran the ball well and they blew the hell out of people. So they just didn't need it. God, I think Hank can have one of those years. And if he does, you hope the wins come with that, JP.
Topic number 8, yes or no. Boise State will score 400 or more total points this season. BJ Rains.
This is the most confident one I am of any of them. I think it's easily yes. I mean, you do the math. If they play in the championship game, you're talking about 28.6 points a game, which is less than they scored last year. So I think this is easily going over 400. If they don't play in the championship, 13 games, you only need to average 30.7 points per game. I think this offense is in the 35, 36 point range. I think that Tim Plow and company, healthy Hank Bachmeier, the O-line, everything we've talked about, all the last 8 months, I think this offense is much better, and I think they easily go over 30 points a game, which would put them over 400.
Boise State scored 350 points a game. BJ just kind of pointed out the limitations there, averaging 29.1. I've been saying this offseason that this offense, and maybe with some help, some playmaking defense, is going to average 35 points a game. So I'm terrible at math, but I trust BJ at math. easy peasy. This is a no-brainer. Boise State clearly goes over 400 points.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and triple stamp Prater's double stamp, even though I'm not sure if you can triple to stamp a double stamp, but I'm going to do that. They're going to score a lot more points this year. If they don't, that's going to be one big disappointment for a lot of big-time football fans in this town, JP.
All right, because we have the Ferguson Reynolds watching in Australia to this particular show. How about an over-under on punts downed within the 10-yard line on the season, 13.5?
Oh,
Over-under.
I'll go under. That's one a game inside the 10. That's pretty hard to do. I'm going to go under.
I'm going to go under. And parents, I'm rooting for your son, but he hasn't even won the starting job unless you know of some information. And if you have, call JP right now and let us know that your son's won the starting punting job, because Farron's hanging out there on camp as well. It's supposed to be between Ferguson Reynolds and Farron. We kind of want the Aussie guy because that's a beautiful story.
It's a fun
and
story.
The parents are listening. We love you guys.
Yeah, they're huge.
Will Farron came out of nowhere, by the way. I thought it was Gavin Whale all offseason battling with them, and next thing you know, it's Will Farron. So, yeah, that's a great battle. But
Gavin Whale's name has never come up in fall camp.
Yeah.
No, very odd.
BJ, great stuff. You got to be pumped, BJ, for Bronco Nation News. Everything we're all doing together for football season going to be fun, man.
Yeah, all the travel and everything. It's kind of the last breather this weekend, and then it gets going for real next week. Looking forward to it. I'm glad we're partnering up. It's going to be a fun fall and winter here.
All right, BJ Rains, Bronco Nation News. Appreciate the love. As always, we do that with the BNN Report, Prater. Good stuff. NFL or college football? What do you prefer? As Prater said, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just a preference. What do you prefer, the NFL or college football, and why? Prater's going to say